Hi guys, and happy Anzac Day. Ready for our paint and picnic this afternoon, kids? We're going to do a really cool, kind of big daisy flower. Although it's kind of different colours. It's going to be yellows and blues. And then we're going to have a ladybug on it, which will look really lovely. Hope you've had a nice Anzac Day. Hope you've made some Anzac bickies or had a nibble of one. We made some this morning. I just love them. And actually, when Daisy and I made them, it made me think, why don't we have these more often? They'd be great for packed lunches. So tasty. So that was really fun. Daisy went off on her pyjamas about 7 o'clock to go to the friendly grocer to go and get some coconuts. We didn't have coconut, but we've enjoyed them today. 7 o'clock, parents, I'll be back with the family sip and paint. Today we're doing a beautiful tulip inspired by Georgia Keefe's tulip. Lots of blending in this one, so get yourself set up ready. But this one is for you guys, this is for you, the kids. So set yourself down, get your materials, what do you need? Pencil, some colour pencils, or some crayons, or I'm going to use watercolours today, pastels, whatever you want. Alright, we're going to draw it first and then we're going to colour it in. So I'm going to come round, flip the camera down onto where my paper is, and we'll get started. Okay. This one is for you guys, this is for you kids. There we go. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to sit down. Here we go. Are you ready? Am I ready? No, I'm missing my pencil. My pencil's over there. That's a good start, isn't it? And I need my rubber. Okay, pencil, rubber, check, I'm in. Okie dokie. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the flower. Could you get the picture up on your phone? I'm going to draw the flower, and it's going to be quite enlarged because this is kind of like, almost like you've got a spyglass looking at the flower to spy the little ladybug. He's hanging out in the garden. Now, whatever colours I do on my flower today, I want you to do whatever colours you want. So let's say you want to do it for your bedroom, and your bedroom's all pinks and greens, then do it pink and green. If you want to do exactly the same colours as me, then that's absolutely fine as well. All right, so I'm going down kind of blues and yellows today, but you can do whatever you want. So you just need to be a bit brave because it's a really enlarged picture, okay? We're looking through a magnifying glass. So we're going to start off down in this bottom corner. And we're going to do a circle. So I want you to spin your hand. Remember how we do it. We spin our hand round and round like this until we get a really nice circle and we're really comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you can always draw around a bowl or a plate or something like that. Okay, I'm going to spin it round and I'm going to put my pencil down and I'm going to draw my circle. All right? I'm sorry if you can hear a bit of reverb happening. We're trying to sort out some options so that I can see any of your comments at the same time, but obviously it's bouncing backwards. So I've got my circle. This is the centre of my flower. Now, normally when we do our paintings and pictures, we often put the flower in the middle. So today we're doing something a little bit quirky and a little bit different, which I'm all in favour of. Okay, so there's my centre of my flower. Now we're going to put some petals in. Now I'm going to use a petal that's a bit like a leaf shape. If you're really confident of doing a leaf shape, you can do it straight up. If you're not, here's my top tip. Okay, we're going to have 3 big petals. Top tip, do another circle. Ready? Circle, like this. And then I want you to do a long triangle. Ready? Oh, we've got lots of people on, I can now see. Sally, hi, Amelia, hi, Debbie, Angie, Helena and Kelly. Welcome everybody. My husband's been here setting me up so I can now see, well, I'll take a picture. David will take a picture of me doing this and you'll be able to see what I'm looking at, okay? You'll be able to see me in my studio all set up. Okay, so I've done a circle. I want you to do another circle down here, almost as if it's a daisy flower, okay? Remember, I'm spinning. And then one up here. Now this circle is going to go off the page, isn't it? Because it's so enlarged, it's going to go off the page. So my circle would carry on around like this if it was to go off the page, and that's okay. So 1, 2, 3 giant petals. Everybody okay so far? Yay! Thumbs up, heart to you all. Okay, Now, to make it look like a pointy petal, I'm going to do a long triangle on the top. Look how simple that is. A long triangle on the top. You can do the third side if you need to, or you can just do the long triangle. And now this one, long triangle on the top. And this one is going to go out this way, and look, it goes off the page. So my triangle top would be out here, wouldn't it? But it goes off the page. Hi Kelly from Cairns, thanks for popping in. I hope you've got you and your children sitting down doing a bit of art. Here's my picnic, I'm having a cup of tea. Welcome, welcome. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because we've got a whole new system here. Oh my goodness, I don't know. I've got so many phones and goodness knows what I've done. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I hope you can. If not, it's going to be a very, very quiet conversation where you're just going to watch me. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Lots of thumbs. Thanks for that. My husband's looking very, very happy. He's like, for you. He's like this. For you. All right. So we've got our basic shape. Circle, triangle. Now we want to kind of turn this into a bit more of a petal shape. So watch me. I'm going to start here. And I start to press harder. I go around the outside of that circle. Then I want to curl it in to the end. So I want to create this nice swoop like that. Now if I tried to draw that straight up, it might be quite tricky. But by doing this beautiful swooping shape, I can. Now I want to make my petal a little bit wider. So I'm going to make it a bit wider. And then I'm going to come down the outside and I'm going to swoop in. And I'm just going to curl the top. That's the top of my petal. All right, so that's my first one. Thanks, Erin, for letting me know that we're all okay, and everybody else. That's awesome. So at least we know we've got lots of people here from Queensland. We've got my friend from Cairns. How fantastic is that? I'm loving it. Okay, we're going to do exactly the same on these ones. So go round here, kids, and swoop it off. Round the bottom and swoop it off. Now you can see I've gone a bit wider there. That's okay. That's okay. Here I'm going to go around and swoop it off. So if you were able to draw that leaf shape to start with, then of course you can. If you can't, this is a really good way of trying to get giant petals. If you want to make them a different shape, maybe you want them curvy on the top or you want them a different shape, of course you can. That's absolutely fine. And now I'm going to draw a bit darker my centre of my flower. Beautiful, like that. All right, now get the old trusty rubber. And the reason why I'm using a rubber is because I'm going to be using watercolours, and all of these lines are going to really show through. So I certainly want to get rid of all of my guidelines. So I'm going to get rid of all my guidelines first, like this. So, I don't know what happened last week, kids, but I had absolutely no Wi-Fi over here. Not Wi-Fi, what's it called? Mobile reception. And we did a bit of searching. My husband, gorgeous husband, is in IT, and he's also a bit of a whiz at these things, and strangely loves analysing and looking into really geeky stuff like that. So he was having a good old look and a root around, and apparently Optus were having a massive outage. What does an outage mean? I have no idea. It's a posh way of saying annoying everybody that needs decent reception in my world. But they're having some outage, which meant that everybody in Brisbane had rubbish Optus reception. And that was my first Harry Potter Zoom party last weekend, so it was a really disruptive pain in the bum. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I've got rid of all my guidelines. I'm now just going to take this away and just put all the rubber on the floor. If you do that at home, kids, you're going to need to sweep it up. So just be careful. Okay, and now I also want just to take some of the darkness off these lines. Again, because I'm using watercolour. If you're going to use textures, or if you're going to use crayons, or anything like that, then maybe you don't need to. Maybe you can keep your pencil line. But I don't want mine to be really thick. So I'm just going to rub it out, and it'll leave the imprint, so I'll be able to see where to go, but it will just take away the dark grey line. Okay, nearly there. If you use the side of the rubber, it doesn't rub all of the pencil away, it just leaves just takes the top layer off. All right, I'm going to do it again, put it on the floor. Remember, this is my studio. I can put it on the floor if you do that at home. Daisy was doing her art homework this week and she put rubber all over her floor, and this morning I gave her the vacuum cleaner and said you can hoover it up. Okie dokie, just had a sip of my tea. Okay, now if you're using watercolours, remember that these are all dry. It's not the same as acrylic or poster paint. These are dry, and the only way they work is obviously using water. So you need to have a water pot to hand, and you need to almost like soak the paint. So you can see I'm putting some water and I'm agitating. Agitating means I am moving my brush round and round, and the wetness is getting into that cake and lifting up some of the colour. So now you can see that my brush has lots and lots of paint in its bristles. Now kids, when I'm painting, I always use my lightest colours first, because you can always make things darker, but you can't make them lighter. Well, you can with white, but it's much harder. So I want my background to be this beautiful yellowy, and actually I'm going to make it into kind of like a sunrisey colour, okay? So I'm going to start off with the yellow at the top. So if you're using crayons or you're using textures or anything, then it'll be exactly the same, but you'll have to kind of blend a little bit. And when you blend with crayons or textures, you have to kind of do, if this was my texture, you kind of have to do strokes like this, look, little line strokes or coloured pencils, and then you would get your second colour. So let's say I get orange. Now don't do this if you're doing a paintbrush. This is if you're using textures or crayons. And then you put your orange in between those lines. Now obviously because I'm using watercolour, it's starting to blend. But that's how you mix when you're using pencils, textures, oil pastels. You kind of what's called, you use a term, it's a very fancy term, called optical mixing. And optical mixing means that your eyes will blend the colour. Okay, so I've done the yellow and I'm just moving into an orange tone. One of the things that I have always found that's been an issue, I'm just going to add a bit more yellow there to blend that nicely. I've always found to be an issue with my students, my children's students, when they're doing watercolours, is they want to hold their brush really hard and they kind of are almost drawing with their brush. But when you're using watercolours, you want your brush to glide. You want it to glide over the paper really softly. If you don't let it glide, then what it does is it tears the paper, okay? It tears the paper. Hello, Jason Williams from England. Good morning, young man. It's nice and early. Hopefully you're having your breakfast while you're watching. Ah, you're watching with a cuppa. I've got David here. My technical guru is here having a cuppa, an afternoon cuppa. I've got my cuppa, and we're going to go back, and then we're going to come back later for our evening class, and we're going to bring our Cornish pasties with us this evening. I cannot wait. Made Cornish pasties for Anzac Day. What's a Cornish pasty? Good question. Well, for those of you that don't know, I am from Cornwall in England, which is the very, very toe. If you look at England, kids, and you can see that England, look, I'll draw you a little map. Here's Scotland, England goes down here, there's the toe of England, that's where London is. There's Ireland, I live down here. That's a very big toe of England. This is Cornwall, that's where I live. Or I don't live, I live in the Gap. That's where I'm from, I should say. And in Cornwall, there used to be loads in the turn of the century, which means the turn of the last century, not this century. So 1800s to early 1900s, there was lots and lots of tin miners. And the miners actually came to Australia and taught you guys how to mine down in South Australia. They also went to South Africa and all the way around the world. And the miners used to eat Cornish pasties because they had a crimp on them. And the crimp is a bit of pastry, a bit like a crust, some people would call it. And the crimp, I'll draw you a picture. Look, watch here. So it looks like this. For those that don't know, it's like that. And it has a crimp like this. And this is all pastry. And inside the pastry, it is filled with meat, potatoes and vegetables. Lots of different types. People have different flavours. You can get curry ones and all sorts now. But a traditional Cornish pasty is chuck steak, onions, potato and swede. And swede's not a very popular veg in Australia. Took me a while to try and find it. They only have it like in a little basket in Coles. It's not like a big veg like butternut squash. But anyway, we found it. I made some Cornish pasties, and because it's Anzac Day here, I put it. So when the Cornish tin miners went down into the mines, this is years and years ago, obviously it was super dark in the mine. It was super, super dark, and so because it was super dark, they needed to recognise which was their pasty at lunchtime or break time, which in Cornish is called crib, during the crib. And so because they needed to recognise it, they used to put their letters of their names on the pastry, so everybody could see whose pastry it was. And so I've put the letters of our family on my pasties, but I've also put a poppy for Anzac Day, because today is Anzac Day. Okay, so that is my beautiful background, looking lovely so far. Now I'm going to do the centre of the flower, which you can do whatever colour you like, but I want it to be yellow, I think. So I'm going to go kind of yellowy. Yeah, I'm going to go yellowy, and I'm going to mimic those colours. I'm going to mimic those colours of the sunset. So I'm going to start off with a bright yellow in the middle, like that, going round in a circle. Then I'm going to do the orange. So it's going to look really nice. It's going to kind of reflect the same sort of colours that you've got there in the background. There we go. And then I'm just going to do the orange around the outer edge. Yeah. See what's happened here? I love that. I'm going to do more of that. Guys, look. See, this is when art is fantastic. Even though I've got a plan, look at that. Can you see that? See how that's just gone all lovely and bleedy? I love it. I love it. So we need more of that, and to do that, we need to put the red in the watery area of that yellow and orange and just let it merge. If I put some more drops of water, it will just merge on its own. Oh, I like it when it does that. It's pretty. And in fact, I'm going to do a few taps. Oh, look at that. It's awesome. That looks like the centre of a flower, doesn't it? Where a bumblebee or something might pollinate. I love that. That looks really nice. I'm not doing any more. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to use my paintbrush. I'm going to let it settle. Okay, so while this is all drying, we're going to do our petals. Now, I want to make my petals beautiful blues and greens. Now, blue is the opposite. The opposite colour on the colour wheel for blue is orange. And so it's always really nice when you do sunsets to have an opposing colour somewhere, because it really makes the orangey yellow much brighter. Now to start off with, I'm going to start off with this centre petal. Whee! Hi Sarah from the UK, thanks for joining us. I wonder if you're doing this with your children, or whether you're just having a little cup of tea and having a sneaky peek. Hi Holly, where are you from? Let me know where you're from, guys. Let me know what you've done for Anzac. Let's have a bit of a chit chat. It's always really nice to find out where everybody's coming from. So we've got some local Gappy friends, we've got some people from Brisbane, we've got my friend Kelly from Cairns, I know Sarah's from Cornwall, Jason is up near London. So it's really fantastic that you guys, the Gap in Brisbane, thanks Holly, sorry, should have known that. Oh dear. It's really nice that you guys get to see that there's all people around the world hooking up and connecting, and that's the point of these classes, isn't it? Is to say that even though we're bored as bats doo-doo, and, well, let's be honest, this is one for the mums and dads. How was your week doing homeschooling? So I thought, you know, I'm an art teacher, I've got this covered, it's going to be a doddle. I set up the kids' stations or their desks, thought, yeah, it's going to be super, it's going to be breezy, it's going to be so easy. Yeah, I was kind of wrong about that. And all credit to the teachers. Shall I tell you why I was wrong? So I always said, even back in the days when I spent 4 a.m. talking to you, saying I'd had a sliding door moment and I was going to do some stuff online, I'd always maintained, look, I'm not going to teach. I'm not a teacher. Okay, I teach art, but I'm not a teacher. I don't know about the Battle of Hastings or, you know, the first landing. I mean, I only know what I know in general knowledge. I'm not a teacher. And what I realised this week is that actually you cannot just let the children read all. So we've got Mirabelle and Zach joining from the Gap. Hi guys, welcome. Yeah, you can't just let the kids. Well, you can. So I started off at the beginning of the week. I'm rambling. I know that I ramble a lot. Sorry about that. I'm trying to think of the story. I started letting the children self-govern, which means, okay, so our office is right outside the kids' bedroom. So the kids' bedroom doors were open. It was all very safe. I could see that they weren't on YouTube or doing anything naughty. But I wanted them to read their work piece by piece, subject by subject, and sort of go through it themselves. Ask me if they needed any problem, but I didn't want to sit on their shoulders and be some hovering mum, you know? I just didn't want to do that. So I let them go. Now, the two high school students, Daisy and Thomas, they kind of did okay. You know, Daisy had a bit of a struggle with math. Well, that's above my pay grade already, so I had to get my 14-year-old son to help out with the math. Hi, Libby, welcome. Can you make some mistakes, please? Apparently, you are two better than them. Oh, well, look, I've made some mistakes. Got some yellow splots in this bit here. And I painted over the red there. And it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. I'm okay with that. Mistakes are good. It's okay. Right, I'm just going to press pause on my story. And we're going to carry on with our petals. So I've done that one colour in blue. And now I'm going to go for another colour. So if you're using texture or crayon, you can just crayon on top. So you can see this is a darker shade. Yeah, it's a darker shade. And I'm just going to go around the outside in this darker shade. And when you're blending with watercolours, you try and let the water kind of mix it so you don't end up having a line. You get that soft blend. Going to go right up to the tip now. And I'm not going to overpaint it because otherwise I'm going to tear the paper. Remember I said that if you rub it too much, your paper will tear. So just let your brush gently play. It's like stroke, stroke, My husband's just raising his eyebrows going, what are you on, you barn pot? I am a bit of a barn pot, sorry about that. Anyway, so you can see I'm leaving the centre bit of my flower, guys. I'm leaving that not painted, all right? So we'll just put a little bit of dark around the outside. I'm going to do the same with these other petals, and I'm going to carry on with my story. So my story about the kids doing homeschooling. So, you know, they were doing okay, and Harry was saying, Harry is my year 6, and he was, yeah, Mum, I've done it all, I've got it all covered, and so Friday morning he says to me, Mum, what do you want me to do today? Can I help you? I said, what do you mean, can you help me? I got no work to do. What shall I do? Shall I help you? What shall I do? I said, what do you mean you've got no work? I've done all my work, Mum. You've done all your work. Well, let me have a look through. So you're supposed to have 4 periods of maths, 4 periods of English, Chinese, Now, I'm not going to diss Harry because I don't think it's any fault of his. In fact, kids, you could probably blame me for letting him try and do it too much on his own. Because what happened was, obviously, there was some massive technological problems. Hi, Jane, my beautiful friend from Bodmin, and hello, Karen Brown. Karen, I'm just telling everybody the story, my homeschooling nightmare story. Karen was one of my children's primary school teachers back in Cornwall, so she'll like this. So having given them the autonomy, kids, that's a posh word for saying giving them the chance to try and read the work themselves and go through it themselves automatically. I then am looking through Harry's on Friday, and he's got one of those, you know, one of those pens that you write on your tablet. I don't know what they're called, digital pen. And where he got stuck, he just wrote, got stuck, don't know, doesn't open. And I'm looking through his work to his teacher, and I'm saying, Harry, you can't write got stuck, don't work, done open. That's not an option. Then I had a massive flashback to my own schooling days when I'm sat in my maths exam and I don't know the word, I don't know the answers, kids. don't try this at home, it's really not cool. But I used to write, I don't know, why don't you ask my mum? And I used to write things because I didn't know what else to write. So I'm sat in an exam, everybody's writing away and I had no idea. So I just used to write stories and draw pictures to all the examiners. I'm not sure they liked it very much. And I didn't do very well at school. So I had to retake. That's not a good thing to do, kids. But anyway. So I then sat and said to Harry, Harry, come on, what don't you know? And obviously the reality is he just needed a bit of help. So Friday for me was spent going through all of his work and helping him out, and he was stuck. And he just needed much more of my guidance. And actually what I realised is that, I'm just going to turn it on me so you can see me. Woo-hoo. What I realised is that kids have spent so much of their time, all of their life, they have been taught in a class with a teacher stood in front delivering the lesson. And yes, okay, at some point they go down and they get to their desk and they start writing their own stuff, but they've got Bob sat there, Fred sat there, Sophie sat there, someone sat there, you can chat away and you can discuss everything. And all credit to the teachers, I don't know how they do it, but poor old Harry was swimming through a world he just couldn't do. He doesn't know how to teach himself, and more for me, obviously, I thought he would be okay. And, you know, he needed some help. And then when I started going through the lessons, I realised this is a little bit tougher because obviously when the teachers are planning their lessons, they are writing it, planning it, organising how they're going to deliver it. And there's us mums at home or dads or parents or carers or whoever's doing it. We're reading it off the page just like the kids with no background, no context to any of it going, and the kids are looking at us going, teach me mum, teach me mum. And you know what? Kids, it's hard for us and it's hard for you. So we're going to do a big one of these. And in the end, I just went out and I went and bought some chocolate for everybody. And I just went, come on, we're going to have a fantastic Friday. We had a big party last night and let the kids stay up late. We danced and played cards and had a really fun night. And you know what? I just realised that it's going to be a little bit tough, and it's going to be a bit tough for us as well as you guys. So we're all in this together. We're all in this together. All right, so back to the painting. I'm going to flip you down. Make sure, I just got to stand up. Make sure that you can still see my painting. Yep, beautiful. Okay, so this is our flower. Now I just want to add, can you see where I've got some white spots? Obviously, I just need to get rid of those white spots. So I'm just going to add a little bit of red in that corner there. And I don't mind if there's a bit of white showing because that just shows it's a nice little painting. And now I just want to add a little bit of texture into because this is a close-up, isn't it? It's a real close-up of this petal. So we want to add a little bit of texture into our petal. So I'm going to find another colour, and it's going to be a darker, like a greeny colour. Can you see I'm using this dark green and this dark green? If you're using a pencil or a texter, you want to find something that's different to the blue. All right, now I'm going to start at the top of the vein, and we're just going to streak through. Now, if you're using watercolor or wet paint, what you'll find is that the paint will just start to bleed, and that's what you want. We don't want it to be fine lines, or we don't want it to be too exact or too perfect. The one thing I love in nature is that nothing is perfect. So my little friend that said, Karen, you're better than me. No, I'm not, my darling. You are just as good as me. It's just you're drawing a different flower. And that's exactly how it would be in nature. All right, my sweetheart? So don't you think that I'm better than you? Plus, I'm 49. So I've been doing it for a few more years than you. But I'm giving you all of the tools in my toolbox here. I'm teaching you how to do it. So when you get to be 49, you might be running your own art classes. Who knows, hey? All right, so I'm just going around the edge and I'm drawing some fine lines on my petal. And you can put these wherever you want, okay? Maybe your flower has a bit of a pattern. Maybe you'd like to put a pattern on them. I'd love to see that if you want to do that. You can definitely make it patterned. Okay, now I'm going to do this petal over here, so my last petal. Dragging in some of that greeny blue, adding in some detail. And you can make it go as far down as you want. You might decide that you wanted to add in another colour, so you don't want it to just be blue and green, you might want to add in some red or some orange. That's entirely up to you, okay? Okay, I'm washing my brush. Now I want to add a little bit of detail to this over here. I'm just going to ask David if he'll go and get me a paper towel or just a tissue. So can you see I've got a little bit of puddle of water here, and because I want to add another colour, I'm just going to put a tissue over the top, and it's just going to lift that water up so that I don't have any more blending in that puddle. Now, I want to add some more of the pollen. So I want to add a darker colour, but I don't want it to be a contrasting colour. I want it to be in the warm tones. So I'm going to use a tiny little bit of brown. And can you see I'm using the point of my brush? And if some go wider, as in they start to merge and spread with some of the water droplets, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I don't mind that, guys. Okay, if you want to do this with a texture or a crayon, you can just literally use the nib of it and just do lots of little circles. Okay, I'm going to dot it round, and this is just going to give that real detailed look. Okay, real detailed look. Just put a couple of lines around the outside of the centre of my flower. All right, that's all I'm going to do, and that is the detail of my flower done. Now we need to do Mr. Ladybug. So hopefully this up here is dry enough, and that's why if we paint in sections like this, you get the area that's been dried and you can go right up to it. Now I'm pretty sure all of you guys know what a ladybug looks like, don't you? So it's a bright, 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 bright red, isn't it? And it's funny actually, in Australia I've seen different colour ladybugs. They're obviously not called ladybugs. They're obviously some kind of beetly thing, but you can get like black ones with green spots and all sorts of stuff, so it's really cool. Okay, so I've really loaded my brush, look. I went round and round, really, really hard, so I've got lots of colour in my brush. Now, if you feel like you need to go back, kids, and draw your shape first, you can. But I reckon you could manage this without drawing it. Shall I show you why? Well, it's just going to be a semicircle, okay? So watch me first. I'm going to go up and down, almost like a sun, half a sun if you've done a sunrise. Up and down. Now I'm going to go across, right on the edge of that petal. And once I've done my lovely shape, then it's super easy. You can colour in quickly because you've done your shape, super easy. You can colour in using the rest of the paint like that. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. Now, this is a little bit more tricky because I want to put an eye on my ladybug. So I'm now getting a bit of blue, and I don't want it super wet. So look, I'm going to get my tissue. I'm just going to dab my brush. So I want the blue, but I don't want it super wet. And I'm going to put his eye in first. So there's his eye. And that looks strange, doesn't it? Because there's a dot in the middle of nowhere. But in a minute, we're going to put his head around his eye. Okay? I say his, it could be a her. Okay, now I'm going to move and use my smaller brush. I'm going to get some black. Now kids, I know this seems weird, but this part of my picture is wet, and this part up here isn't. So I'm now going to turn my picture upside down so I can do my head, because at the end of the day it's just a shape. But all of this is dry for my hand. So now I'm going to do another semicircle. And I'm going to paint around the eye. So you can see I'm having to be nice and quiet, which is unusual for me, but when I'm doing really close stuff and really careful stuff, I do have to concentrate. Now I want to do the antennae, and I'm going to do the antennae. I'm going to do up and curl, and two up and curl. There's his two antennae. Now I'm going to go round the body. And then what do we know about ladybugs? What's the thing that makes them special? It's their spots. So, ooh, there we go. So we've done round his body, and now I'm going to do his spots. 1. You can put them wherever you want, because just like I said with the flower, nature is unique, okay? So they can go absolutely anywhere. Go crazy, okay? Go anywhere. And shall I tell you the other thing about ladybugs is the spots aren't exact circles. So they're all sorts. Hi, Sophie, from the girls. Hi, lovely to see you in. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple more spots in. That one, that one, that one. Look here, I'm going to do a half spot. There and there. So it looks like it's going round the back and one there. That's a really good trick to show that he's three-dimensional, isn't it? Gorgeous. Okay, and now because he's on this, it's real enlarged thing, I'm just gonna put his leg, a couple of legs like that, a couple of legs like that, and I'm just gonna let them bleed a little bit like that, so it's like he's hanging on to my leaf. Beautiful. Right, I'm gonna turn him round. Woo, come around this way. Beautiful. Happy with that? Okay, now I think one of the finishing touches to this is actually adding that lovely black line to it. So I've gone back to my big brush now, and I'm going to go round my flower petals. And kids often ask me, how can I do it so smoothly and, you know, without shaking? Okay, let me show you. Watch this, kids. Watch my brush. I use the side of the brush to paint. So I don't use my fingers like I'm drawing at school. I use my brush. So I put my brush down and then I move with my arm, not with my fingers. So watch. If I do this one up here, look. I put my brush down and then I move my arm. My fingers, look at my fingers. They're not even moving, are they? So my fingers are staying the same, nice and strong, and it's my wrist that is doing the moving. And if you do that and you push with your brush, the brush will do all the work for you and you'll get a really nice smooth line. If I do it with my fingers, if I show you down here, look, I get a jaggy line. All right, so push down with the brush, drag and smooth. Push down with the brush, not drush, drag and smooth. Gorgeous. That black line really, I think, does help, doesn't it, hey? Now, obviously, I can do it a bit quicker than you because then I've had much more practice than you, as you know. That's not me showing off. That's just the fact that I'm an old lady. Well, I'm not old, but... Actually, some of my kids at schools think I am old. They're like, are you a grandma yet? No, I'm not a grandma. My youngest child's only 10. Okay, now, one final thing. I'm going to do a couple of little tendrils. Tendrils are kind of like twirly bits. So I'm using my black and I'm just going to do a couple of twirly tendrils, all right? You don't have to do these if you don't want to, but it kind of makes it look pretty, adds in a bit of pattern work. Beautiful. And I'm going to do a twirl in the middle of my flower. Spiral. There you go. Finally, because you're going to be so proud of it, you need to sign it at the bottom, don't you? K for Karen. E I always do backwards because I'm a little bit wacky. And you know, my maiden name is Selly. A maiden name is the name I had before I got married. So when I sign my pictures, I have a signature that I've done on all of my artwork ever since I was at school. And it's a K forward, an E that goes backwards, and then an S that goes right through. And that's my signature. And that means that this artwork is unique to me, and nobody can take it. So that's my signature, Kez, which is what a lot of people call me. So, that is today's Paint and Picnic. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Kids, I want to tell you one other thing. From Monday, I am doing 3 free classes for you every single day. They're after schooling, so don't worry, you don't have to worry about that. They're after school. They're going to be eventually on my YouTube channel. So I know, scary new world. I've started a YouTube channel so that all of my videos can go onto this channel and they're there for you to use. Because I know kids, you don't really have Facebook, so mum and dad are letting you on their Facebook. That way, you'll be able to access any of my artwork anytime. So you can set yourself up with a little art corner in the corner of your bedroom and you'll be able to do them whenever you like. But daily, I will be doing 3 until 3:30. There'll be what's called a mini make. And the mini make is for your littler children. So something a bit more simple, more playful, more prep orientated and even younger. From 3:30 till 4, when we were in the holidays, I called them my daily doodles, but now I'm calling them my quick draws. So it'll be a little drawing class, half an hour long, quick draw. And then from 4 until 5 will be I used to call them my messy makes. Pardon me, I had a burp then. I think I need my pasty. I used to call them my messy makes, but they're actually now going to be called my crafty creations. A lot of those crafty creations are going to be used using upcycled and recycled materials. So if mum doesn't mind and dad doesn't mind, start collecting your egg boxes, your cartons, the lids off your milk cartons, all those sort of things that you can put in a box, doesn't go out to recycling because then we can make things out of them, okay? I'm going to do a post about what you need as a basic kit, so that way perhaps mum and dad can get it set for you. And this is really about you working with me, okay? I'm going to be your teacher. I'm going to help you and guide you so that you can just do this. You won't have art probably through homeschooling because that's not one of the core subjects, sadly. However, you can do art with me every single day. You don't have to do it every single day, but if you want to do it every single day, you can, all right? So my YouTube channel is exactly the same. It's You Create Art at Home. You'll see that I've started uploading all of the videos that I've done, all of them, over the holidays, so they're already there. So if you want to, you can do some tomorrow and you can have a look at it. It's not finely polished yet, I'm still doing that, but I'm having to learn on the hoof, as you can imagine. But next week, Daisy and I are going to be presenting to you 3 lessons a day. You're going to end up having so much art. By the time you go back to school, you'll be amazing. All right, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to go and have my pasty, and I will see anybody else at 7 o'clock. See you later. Bye.